Hey, what's up, folks? How's it going? This is Abhijit here, and welcome to Devops Challenge Hub. So let's start with today's interview question. So, question is, how do you get a static IP for a Kubernetes load balancer? So, in Kubernetes, a load balancer typically gets dynamic IP from cloud provider like AWS Cloud or Azure Cloud. But if you want a static IP, mainly for DNS or stability reason, or you want a predictable IP for load balancer, or you want to assure a custom domain because you want to set a DNS a record or avoid IP change every time the service restarts, you want to go for static IP. So how that is done for cloud provider, we'll see later. First, we'll have a look at how it's done on the kind cluster, which I have set up on my desktop. So I'm running Docker desktop, and here you can see that kind Docker container is running. So kind Docker container is running, and just imagine that like you are setting a mini city Kubernetes cluster inside the laptop. And this mini city is running inside that Docker container, which is like a kind container. Okay. And buildings are like your pod, your application. Street is like a network. So all the buildings they can talk to each other or apps can talk to each other. And post office is like a service that handles who gets what messages. And there are city rules, which are like a Kubernetes config. And this mini city is inside this tool called kind, which runs Kubernetes inside the Docker container. So we have pod, which are like here in this example, analogous to buildings, and you have service, which is the post office, and we have MetalLB. Why? Because outside world, Docker world, the Docker network, it won't be able to communicate with this inside world, like service. So this MetalLB will expose this network to the outside world. And here, Kubernetes has some set of service, and Docker has a different set. Kubernetes has some set of IPs, and Docker has different set of IPs. Both IPs are different, and we need that external IP because we want to talk to external world. That is a static IP. So let's see here Kubernetes config, kind config. Here pod subnet. This is like a street address for pod. Pod IPs will be allocated. Then service subnet, here post office or service will be there. Service will get these IP ranges, right? And its role will be control plane and Docker cluster started. So kind creates the city inside a container. The city is surrounded by boundary wall, Docker bridge network, and everything inside uses private street IP address that you define. And pod subnet where the building live, and service subnet where the internet post office or services live. And these IPs are only used inside the city. And Docker's job is to create wall around the city. That is the outer city network. The problem is no way for outside world to talk to the city. If someone tries to visit your web app, they can't get in because there is no external IP address open. So MetalLB will knows how to talk to the Docker network, and it will ask Docker network to give me some IP range so that I can share with the service inside. So let's do the setup now. Kind config I have shown, and then what I have done, I have created a I have also shown this pod subnet, pod IP address range, and then service subnet. And I have created a kind create cluster minus config, kind config. Once the kind cluster is created, that is the Docker container kind. You can see that container is running here under Docker desktop. And kind config, now what we'll do, uh, we need to, we have installed this MetalLB also. MetalLB is not part of the Docker network. We have to install MetalLB. So kubectl apply -a, and then or MetalLB minus hyphen native YML. This file I have to install. So this also I have done. Okay, and that you can see that is running. kubectl get pods minus n MetalLB system. Namespace is MetalLB, and these are the two pods are running. Now I have to configure MetalLB. So what IP address I will give? This IP address should be the Docker network IP address, not the Kubernetes IP address. Here, Kubernetes has a different set of IP address. That is the inside city, right? But outside wall, as we discussed, the Docker network, right? This is inside is 10 to 244 and 1096, but outside we have a Docker network, Docker network inspect kind, Docker network inspect kind. This range we have to use 178 to 19. So in Metal LB config, we have mentioned this IP, 172 to 19, right? IP address pool. This is the IP address pool we are creating. And then you have to apply kubectl apply minus it, then this one YML. So this is a standard, right? kubectl for any YML file, we do kubectl apply minus it, and it gets deployed or configured or created. So once that is done, now I'll be deploying the pod and services. So pod, the kind is pod, name is Maya, and it's running Nginx container, and port is 8. This is a pod. Kind is pod. And next one is a service. My service is load balancer, and load balancer IP I'm mapping to this. So I have assigned 100 from that pool I have picked up. I have to make sure that this is the within that MetalLB IP address pool. MetalLB has some pool of range of IP addresses where that I mentioned that. So from that I have picked up one IP, and that is a static IP and mentioned here. Load balancer IP colon this. Maya, and then there is a letter is Maya. Maya is this pod. So service and pod. So let's apply this one also. You see come out of this kubectl apply minus f. What created? Let's see whether it's done. Okay, it's creating. So now, what is the IP? Index. This is the IP, right? So I can use call command. I can use call command to connect, means get the page. Okay. But here, Docker network is different from host network. This is not working here because I'm on Mac. So I have to get inside the Docker. I have to get inside the Docker container. Because client is running Docker container. Right? You have your CT, Kubernetes cluster. They have internally some IP addresses, private IP, internal streets, buildings are there, and like pods are there, and internal streets like network. Outside this Docker one. So that is the outside. So there it's exposed, that IP address. So that IP address we can ping only from the Docker network Docker container. So Docker exec minus IT, and then kind control plane, and then sh. So I got inside the container, Docker container. Now if I do curl and try to get that, try to face that page, yes, there you can see welcome to Nginx. So using this curl HTTP colon 172.19.250.500, I'm able to get the page. You can see welcome to Nginx. Okay. So let's go to the question now. Let's go to the quiz section. Why does the load balancer service in a kind cluster not work out of the box. Because kind doesn't support OML, because load balancer requires a cloud provider by default. Because load balancer need a cloud provider by default. That's why load balancer service doesn't work in kind by default. We need to use MetalLB. We need to use MetalLB. Load balancer type needs a cloud provider like AWS, GCP. In kind or bare metal, you need something like MetalLB. Kind or bare metal. What is the purpose of MetalLB in Kubernetes cluster? To manage DNS name, to expose the internal metrics, to provide load balancer functionality on bare metal or local setup. The answer is to provide load balancer functionality on bare metal setup. MetalLB is used to emulate load balancer services in environments without a built-in cloud load balancer. On kind, we don't have built-in cloud load balancer. So this MetalLB used to emulate that load balancer service. So that's it for today. Hope you like this video. Please like it, share it, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also follow my LinkedIn page where I post every day, and you can participate in the contest. And you can also follow my WhatsApp channel. Thank you for watching this video. See you again in the next video.